Welcome to the Explainer. Think about how much time we waste on any given day just fighting with AI. You type a prompt, you get a generic, kind of useless answer, you retype it, and you just get increasingly frustrated. Well, today, we're going to fix that. We're jumping right into how compound prompts transform AI responses using specific instructional categories. Appending just a few highly specific phrases to your prompts can radically transform the precision of your output. I'm absolutely pumped to share this with you because we're looking deeply at the hidden mechanics of tools like Claude. By the end of this explainer, you're going to learn how a handful of magic words can make the AI think, write, and respond exactly the way you need it to every single time. So let's start with a question to fundamentally challenge how we're currently using AI. Why does the exact same question generate 5 completely different answers in tools like Claude? When this happens, it's easy to think the AI is hallucinating, being random, or maybe it's just not having a smart day. It is incredibly frustrating. But here's the truth. The system isn't broken. If you just type a basic question and blindly accept the first response, you're only getting one default version of what the AI can produce. You're essentially letting the AI guess what you want, and usually it defaults to being a middle-of-the-road, generic conversationalist. Here is our agenda for today. First, why responses vary. Second, the control categories. Third, the trust and reliability rule. Fourth, building the compound prompt. And number 5, the output transformation. All right, let's dive right into Section 1, Why Responses Vary, the hidden mechanics of AI prompts. The crucial point here is that the difference really isn't the question itself, it is the instruction that accompanies it. Specific instructions activate entirely different modes of thinking and output formats within the large language model. Think about it. Normally, you might type out this massive, convoluted paragraph trying to explain what you want. Please act like an expert, don't use big words, keep it short, get to the point. But when you append just 2 to 6 carefully chosen magic words to your prompt instead, you are compressing a complete persona and format instruction into a tiny, hyper-efficient package. It calibrates the AI perfectly to your exact professional need, instantly. Moving on to Section 2, the control categories, 6 dials to calibrate your AI. We essentially have 6 main categories of control: simplification, depth, length, tone, format, and reliability. Think of these as the primary sliders on your AI mixing board. Each category solves a completely different communication problem and has a highly effective example phrase attached to it. Whether you're dealing with unwanted complexity, a service-level answer, a massive wall of unreadable text, or a response that's just a little too polite, there's a specific dial you can turn to fix it right away. Let's look at how a few of these dials actually work in practice. For example, under the simplification category, using the phrase "explain like I'm 5," often abbreviated as ELI5, strips away all nested qualifications and academic jargon so a complete beginner can follow along. It is an absolute lifesaver when you're reading a dense academic paper or a complex financial report and you just feel entirely lost. It cuts right through the technical language. If you're learning something completely new, this is your go-to instruction. Although a quick caveat, it's incredibly useful unless you're actually trying to explain something to a real 5-year-old, in which case, good luck. Now, if you need extreme brevity and blunt logic for a technical process, try something like "explain blockchain like a caveman." This cuts out sentence complexity entirely. Asking the AI to explain something like a caveman forces it to use incredibly short words and state cause and effect directly, with zero fluff. Imagine you're trying to understand a complex crypto consensus protocol or just figure out how to fix a broken network router at the office. When logical sequence matters way more than nuance, the caveman instruction is uniquely brilliant. Over in the length category, we have BLUF, which stands for bottom line up front. This gives the decision maker the answer immediately and eliminates all that unnecessary preamble. It's a foundational military communication principle for a reason. When you use this instruction, the very first sentence the AI gives you will be the absolute most important takeaway. It's the complete inverse of how most people, and by extension most AI models, naturally write. Using BLUF is a massive time saver for busy professionals who simply do not have time to read 4 paragraphs of introduction. And if you need the expert version in the depth category, asking the AI to Steelman both sides ensures you get genuine intellectual tension rather than a watered-down, overly polite summary. Unlike a strawman argument, which artificially weakens an opposing view just to defeat it, a Steelman represents the opposing view at its absolute strongest, most rigorous state. This is an incredible sparring partner for your own ideas. You definitely want to use this for any major strategic decision where you need to understand the true complexities involved before making your move. Let's transition to Section 3, the trust and reliability rule, the candid caveat of AI generation. Now, I need to offer a very candid caveat here. Tweaking the format or tone absolutely changes the presentation, but it does not magically make the underlying information factually correct. If you apply a BLUF instruction to a factually wrong answer, all you get is a confidently wrong conclusion stated up front. A simplification phrase applied to a hallucination, that just gives you a clearly explained wrong answer. We have to keep that distinction crystal clear, which brings us to our safety net. To act as your safety net in high-stakes contexts, you must rely on specific verification phrases to explicitly flag uncertainty and catch those logical errors. Imagine you're summarizing a massive legal contract or sorting through quarterly financials. If the AI misunderstands a clause but presents its summary confidently, that is dangerous. Telling it, "If you are not sure, say so," overrides its natural tendency to sound confident about incomplete knowledge. And asking it to "show your reasoning first, answer last," catches logical errors by forcing the AI to show its math step by step before it just blurts out a conclusion. Which leads us to Section 4, building the compound prompt, stacking instructions for maximum impact. This is where we really see how compound prompts transform AI responses using specific instructional categories. Here is the most interesting realization. Stacking multiple instructions creates an output that is categorically different in kind, not just slightly improved. The compound effect is not additive, it is completely multiplicative. You aren't just getting an answer that's 3 times better, you are generating an entirely new class of output perfectly tailored to your exact professional need. One instruction is great, but stacking 3 or 4, that creates absolute magic. Returning to our mixing board analogy, it's like pushing up multiple sliders at once. You establish a tone, set a length constraint, pick a format, and adopt a persona. When you combine these, you move from simply asking a desperate question to writing a highly specific brief that the AI will execute flawlessly. Why does this work so well? Because it totally removes the AI's need to guess your intent. It forces the system into a narrow, hyper-optimized corridor of data. It doesn't have to wonder if you want a friendly chat or a rigorous analysis. You have locked it on to a set of tracks. Finally, Section 5, the output transformation, plain versus compound prompts in action. Let's see this unbelievable before and after transformation for a real-world business query. A plain prompt yields a diplomatic, conversational overview, while a compound prompt acts like a precision instrument. A plain question like, "Should we respond to this government RFP?" gets you a balanced, moderate-length assessment full of diplomatic hedging. It's fine, but it takes time to read. But the compound version? "Should we respond to this government RFP?" Be blunt, BLUF, under 100 words, as a skeptical reviewer who has seen small firms drain resources on tenders they cannot win. The result is staggering. By combining those specific instructional categories, you get a direct, unsugar-coated answer that is immediately actionable for a senior decision maker. The first sentence gives you a firm yes or no. You get the most important reasons instantly with zero fluff from a perspective that defaults to extreme caution. This transformation is incredible. It's the exact same fundamental question, but the compound prompt creates an entirely different, massively more useful output. Think about the sheer amount of time this saves. You skip the AI pleasantries and get right to the strategic value. So I leave you with this practice challenge. Will you open your AI tool today and experience this massive transformation yourself? Take a real question from your work, stack tone, length, and format instructions into one compound prompt, and just compare the result to what you would normally get. It's a total game changer. So what are you waiting for? Go build that compound prompt and see just how much control you really have. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.